Welcome to Betting Weekly Extra Time European Edition. You're with Dan Roebuck alongside me, Steve Wiss and James Easton. Well, from 2U's Toulouse picks to 1U Juventus place, hot dogs in Hoffenheim and SGPs in Seville. 4 leagues covered over the course of the campaign. A profit heading into the final weekend from both of our Euro cappers. 24-25 season about to come to its completion. It's been a huge challenge. And I've mentioned on the EPL show, we've got rules and regs governing what we pick. Given a free hand, I am sure the profit would be higher. Brilliant achievement. So Steve and James, give yourselves a pat on the back. The boys' P&L on screen for you. Steve getting into green figures last week. Well done. I can't remember what you slipped down to. It was around about -8, -9 at one stage, Steve. I mean, you've done remarkably well, but you're not over the line yet. How are you?
Well, good day to you both. I suppose it's a kind of a bittersweet moment, isn't it? The last show of the season, but it's also kind of a celebration of what's been a great campaign. I mean, in terms of my own journey, I did work it out at one point over a weekend before I think I cashed a late hot dog with Sevilla. I was as low as -12, which, I mean, for me, this has been a difficult season. The first 2 years I've done these shows, I've always been well ahead, and I've always been a really good front runner, and I've never considered myself a particularly great chaser, so I'm actually quite proud of myself to come back. I've had to really mix it up, you know. I've had to be quite aggressive, kind of go away from my normal game plan, because my hit rate just hasn't been high enough this season in terms of winners, and crucially, I've not had many pushes, half losses. I normally have quite a lot of them. I've either been all or nothing, so I've worked that out and managed to get myself in the green for now. I feel like sort of like a big Sam who's come into a club and maybe, you know, just come out the relegation zone with 2 games to go, and now I've got to stay there. So yeah, it's I'm quite proud of myself. I want to tip my hat massively to James, who, I mean, he's guaranteed to be massively in profit whatever the outcome here. I mean, I really do think across this type of show, I mean, like you said, we've got rules and regs. We're quite restricted what we do. Times when we're putting the picks in. I mean, I think he's been the best in the business this season anywhere that I know. He's been absolutely brilliant, and he's a very modest guy. But I say congrats to James, and I want to give a couple of thanks as well. The production team, John Izzard behind, has done a great job putting together this show. Also the team at Bet Rivers, and I know it's ongoing, but the live show, Troy and Max as well. And I suppose to you, Dan, you're an okay presenter, aren't you? Gets the job done, keeps things running quite smoothly, the odd gag here and there. But I suppose the biggest thanks is to the viewers, isn't it? It's to those who are watching this show and commenting every week. I mean, it's some brilliant stuff. And I would just like to ask everyone, put in the comments this week, what do you think we can do better for next season? What would you like to see? How do we mix it up? Put your ideas in, because we want to make it the best production possible for you guys. But I just want to say massive thanks to everyone who's been watching these shows. And it's been an honour and a pleasure to be part of the team.
Yeah. James, look, as Steve was pointing out, you've had a fantastic season. I mean, that is a serious ROI considering how we put the show together. I mean, it means that you've got a very big number to live up to next campaign. Yeah. I mean, you know, I don't know. I mean, do punters, you know, set themselves targets? And when you do shows like this, I know you've been a tipster for a long time, but is it just about being in profit?
It's a good question, that, Dan. It's just about being in profit, really. The bottom line is everyone's looking to do that. I think over the course of a season, in our role, that's what you want to do. You mentioned about the restrictions that we put on. People will know that now. We do 2-unit plays, 1-unit plays, and a hot dog. Obviously, we alternate with the same game parlay. I personally have found that great. That's been a benefit to me to have that structure. I think having that sort of framework about what we're tipping on, I found has helped. Obviously, you're a bit disappointed when your leans come in and your picks don't, which has obviously happened for both of us. But yeah, I managed to build up the profit mainly early on in the season, which is always helpful because you're then in a strong position. You're confident. You've got a bit of a cushion. So if you have a couple of poor weeks and you're in profit, you're going to stay in profit, which always helps. So been a very good season. I did want to touch on something Steve said about his own performance, because we're not all about the tips on this show. I think betting psychology is something we've not talked about explicitly, but we've probably talked about just by doing the shows. I think Steve deserves massive credit for dealing with being running at a loss most of the season. I think he's been not easy at all. We've all been there. It's very difficult. It's been an object lesson, I think, for anybody who's watched the show. how to deal with that. Keep doing what you should do. Don't panic. Maybe have a look at your strategy a little bit and tweak it here and there if you think there's things you can do a bit better. So hats off to Steve for that, because it's a very, very difficult thing to do. As I say, I managed to build up most of my profit early on in the season. I've actually been running fairly level now for some time rather than making a profit. So we've had different types of seasons, different approaches, but I think as a show it's worked really, really well. And obviously as a show we're in profit, and I would endorse everything Steve says about the viewers, the listeners. All comments welcome, because that's what the show's all about.
Indeed, yeah. And look, if anyone is putting their picks out week to week, as I know plenty are in the comments, hats off to you as well, because it is not easy. Get your comments in, as the boys are saying on YouTube. We're on Instagram. We've got a newsletter, bettingweeklystudios.com. If you've not signed up to that, that'll continue over the summer. As for this show, games in Italy and Spain to cover. Title up for grabs in Serie A. Could go to a playoff game next week. We're going to start Friday, work our way through the weekend with thoughts on all 20 games across the two leagues. That means that we start with the title race in Italy. Napoli, Cagliari and Como against Inter, 2:45 Friday Eastern. Napoli are minus 715 to win. And a win secures the title for them. They're 10s on to win the title. It's the shortest price, Steve, that they have been all season long. Even in their 22-23 campaign, they weren't quite this short. And they've got a good record when they've been odds on. Do you think they're going to get over the line? Is there any value in the Napoli-Cagliari fixture? Cagliari have been a little bit kryptonite to some of our picks. You've only got a lean, thankfully, in this one.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's game over. I think this title will not have a particularly dramatic conclusion. The drama happened last week. That was Inter's chance. They blew it, sort of. Napoli have been disappointing in the last two matches, but you can't really ask for an easier final game, can you? Cagliari at home, renowned as one of the worst away teams really in Serie A for the last decade. Now, if it was me or one of us on the team needing to get a 2-unit winner across the line in a Cagliari game, we're in trouble. We're in massive trouble. We can never get them right. But I don't think Napoli will have too many issues here. I think look at Napoli win to 0. I think the 2-0, 3-0 scorelines are very likely. And I think the goal line's too high at 3.25, because I just don't see Cagliari scoring in the game. I just don't really see them putting up much resistance in the match. And if there is to be a surprise, it's more likely to be holding them out to 0-0 for a while, really, as Parma did last week. The Genoa match was a weird one. That's just a strange one. I think that was maybe where Napoli weren't sure whether to twist or stick at times, but they know what they've got to do here. They're going to have to win the game. They will win the game. And I think it will be quite a dominating performance, really. Comfortable over the line, but I'm thinking 2-0, 3-0, under 3.25 goals would be my lean.
Cagliari have drawn at Atalanta, Juve and Milan, only lost by more than one once against the top 9 teams in Serie A. Is there an angle with Cagliari +2 at minus 107? James, what's your thoughts on Napoli's game at the moment?
Well, I'm a bit nervous. I've been supporting Napoli all season, and now here they are about to win the title, we think. But I'm a bit nervous because they haven't played well recently, in my view. I think they'll get the job done. I think they'll win. I wouldn't be surprised if they won by a couple of goals, but I think it's going to be very nervous. I don't think they're going to win by playing well. I think they're going to win without playing well. I think Steve makes a good point. It might be a case of Cagliari holding out as long as they can, making everybody in that stadium a bit anxious, but I can't see Cagliari putting up too much resistance if Napoli go ahead. So I think that the timing of that first goal for Napoli, if it is for Napoli, will be crucial. If it goes in, that should relax everybody in the home stands and on the home team, and we might then see Napoli go on and win by a couple of goals. So I wouldn't be opposing them, but I think the price on the money line for Napoli, while understandable, is quite short.
Como Inter, Steve, are Inter going to keep up their side of the bargain, the minus 165. They've not always been great when minus money away from home this season compared to last term when they were a real profitable machine on their travels. And they take on a Como side that, okay, nothing to play for, but they're flying at the moment, plus 380. And obviously, Inter have got the Champions League final still to come. If this game is a draw and Napoli lose, there will be a playoff. Any angles in for Como Inter?
Well, I'll tell you what, I think Como have been mightily impressive all season, really. Cesc Fabregas, where's he going to end up? It'll be very, very interesting what happens to this manager. He knows the eyes of the world are on him in this game, so I don't think they're going to lack for motivation. Certainly the manager's not going to lack for motivation. Como have scored a goal in 18 of their last 19 Serie A games. The game they didn't score in, I tipped both teams score yes. Against Bologna, I look back.
As it is.
That was quite a long time ago, actually. That was back in early Feb. But look, at the end of the day here, I believe the angle is to get with Como to score in some fashion. So, yeah, I looked at both teams score yes at minus 150. I just also think in the second half, maybe, just say that Napoli are comfortably clear, 2-0, 3-0. Inter are going to give up the ghost. They will. They just give up. And they'll be focusing then on the Champions League final. So I just wonder then if Como might get something. So I looked at a sneaky little, for a bit of pizza money, SGP here. Como to score and Como double chance, plus 190. I just got a feeling in the second half here, if Napoli are upholding their end of the bargain, then Inter might just fall asleep a little bit. And Como will be fired up throughout this whole game.
James, final sort of thoughts on the title race here with Inter's trip to Como?
Yeah, I think it's tricky. Como are in great form. I think they're second in the 5-game form table. I think they're third in the 10-game form table. So you've got quite a body of evidence that Como are a good side. We've seen that second half of the season particularly. Question, of course, is how motivated will they be as a mid-table side? We don't know the answer to that, but Inter have leaked some goals this season where I think they maybe should have avoided them. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Como score. I think over 2.75 goals at minus 130 might be worth a look. Both teams to score yes, minus 150. But I would expect Inter to win it. And if you do think both of the title contenders will win, then you may want to look at putting them in a double, which will pay out at about minus 120, which if you're a believer in motivation being a crucial factor at this stage of the season, then I think minus 120 for a win double on the title contenders isn't bad at all.
We are going to cover every single game in Italy and Spain. Some of them will be fairly rapid fire, like the Real Betis Valencia game on Friday night, 3 p.m. Eastern. Betis are just about evens here, just a little bit bigger, Steve, which surprises me. They've got the conference final to come up next week against Chelsea. They could easily rest players. Quick lean on this one from you.
I've actually got two leans now for this game. I've got a goal scorer lean, Cucho Hernandez. He is going to be inactive for the final against Chelsea, so he's going to be starting this match. Came in from MLS, didn't he, over the winter. He's plus 175 to score any time for Real Betis. I think that's definitely worth a go. He's going to play probably 90 minutes. But really, it's got to be Valencia draw no bet, tie no bet as a lean, plus 135. I nearly had this as a one-unit pick. Just stating the blindly obvious that Real Betis are in action, obviously midweek against Chelsea. They've got to be looking ahead, surely. Resting players, stuff like that. Valencia generally finish the season strongly. Have lost their last two games, though, and I'm a little bit concerned that it might be beach-bound to some extent. Probably a low-scoring game as well, under 2.5 goals. But, yeah, Cucho maybe to score any time for Real Betis, plus 175. Valencia tie no bet, plus 135. Two leans for me here on the Friday evening.
Let's get into some Saturday Serie A games that don't really mean too much for any of the teams involved, but we've got some thoughts for you. Bologna, Genoa, first of all. Steve, midday this one. Both teams nothing to play for. Bologna minus 220. The Coppa Italia winners. Any thoughts on this?
Yeah, I did look at Hot Dog here for over 4.5 goals. And instead I'm going with a lean of over 3.5, plus 165. I just think, this is the Patrick Vieira lifespan sort of thing. He starts and he gets the team negative defensive, grinding out points. But a team gets bored playing that way, and it can really grind on a squad. And then towards the end of the season, they've been involved in some high-scoring matches suddenly. The defence has dried up. It's going to be a game of celebration for Bologna. They've won the Italian Cup. So this is one of the few games in Italy where there's nothing at stake, right, for anyone. I'm not even sure. Maybe the Milan game as well, to a degree.
The Milan game as well, yeah.
These are the ones I like to target for over goals last game of the season, and this might be one. Rather than going like over 2.5, let's go one rung higher for a bigger price at over 3.5 goals at plus 165. I don't think Genoa are going to be as defensive as normal because the players literally can't be bothered later on. There's nothing at stake for them. He'll open up.
Milan Monza is the other game where there's nothing on it. Milan are minus 530. They can't make European football. Sergio Conceição's had a shocker really since coming in mid-season after that Super Copa win. He's banned for this match, incidentally. He won't be on the sidelines. Santiago Jimenez, the striker, likewise. It might mean that Francesco Camara might get some minutes. That's the rumour amongst a lot of the Milan websites. He's only 17 years old. I didn't see an anytime goal scorer price on BetRivers. They might have him up by the time of kick-off. Could be Teo Hernandez's last game, plus 108, shot on target. He's rumoured to be leaving, plus 310, anytime goal scorer. Milan, Monza. Want to add anything, boys, on that one or not?
I was going to say, I think Milan are arguably the big club in Europe that we've mentioned the least this season. I found them extremely frustrating. I think there's more talent in that squad than they've shown. They've had a couple of managers, but no consistency. Wouldn't surprise me at all if Milan win big here. It's obviously a dead rubber game, nothing at stake, but I think it would be just typical of them to show some quality in a game that doesn't matter against an already relegated side. So I wouldn't get involved. I did notice that you can back Milan minus 1.75 on the Asian handicap, minus 136. That's Milan to win by a couple of goals. Listen, they got the talent to do it, but I just wish we'd seen a bit more from them really this season than we have.
Let's get to Spain on Saturday, 10:15 a.m. Eastern. Real Madrid against Real Sociedad here. Real Madrid are minus 245. La Real plus 550. Real will finish second, Steve. Only piece of silverware was the European Super Cup way back in August against Atalanta. They will be playing in the Club World Cup, of course, in the summer. You have decided to play your same game parlay card for the final time this season on this one. What you got for us?
Yeah, I think I've figured it out. I like this game for quite a few goals, I do quite like a few goals here, but there's a couple of personal angles which I'm going to lead with. I'm going to start with Kylian Mbappe, who I believe just needs one more goal to win the Golden Boot in Europe or something like that. It's a personal
Golden
accolade. Golden Shoe, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
He needs one more goal, and he would also
Gyökeres is the other one, isn't he? Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the first port of call, in it. Kylian Mbappe to score any time. It's got to be. This is also possibly going to be Luka Modric's last game for Real Madrid. Certainly at home. So I wanted the shot on target for Modric, but BetRivers are not offering it at the time of recording. So I've got to have to be a bit more aggressive. Luka Modric to score or assist. Mbappe actually is to score or assist as well, because I worked it out as exactly the same price. So it's Mbappe to score or assist, Luka Modric to score or assist. Modric has assisted in both of his last two games, by the way, and I think he'll be keen to finish strongly. He might get on a late penalty if Mbappe's already got his goal. And the final part of the SGP, I am going with a young talent from Turkey, Arda Güler, over 0.5 shots on target, because there's a lot of injuries for Real Madrid here. He's likely to start. He's likely to get possibly the 90 minutes. This guy loves a shot. He loves to score a golazo. He'll shoot from range. I think in the Mallorca match he had 6 shots. Only 1 was on target. But I'm just hoping that, he, with his scattergun approach, he will hit the target with one of them, and we can get plus 750 on this SGP. Luka Modric and Kylian Mbappe to score or assist, and Arda Güler over 0.5 shots on target, plus 750. I actually like Real Sociedad to do well here as well. Their manager, his final match in charge, I'm not going to pronounce him.
We had 10 minutes ones. Before the show going through the pronunciation.
I know he's... but I mean,
Rory on the phone and all sorts.
I even looked, at Real Sociedad over 1.5 goals. Real Sociedad draw double chance, because I think they'll do well here. I really do. Imanol Aguilar-Seal. That's the best you're going to get from him. But it's his final game. He's leaving the club, isn't he? So Ancelotti's leaving for Real Madrid. It's going to be an emotional day. I think we could get a festival of goals. But hopefully I can finish with a decent price SGP winner. I wanted to be like 25 to 1 if I could this week on that. But I couldn't really find anything. So plus 750. And I just hope we can finish well.
James, thoughts on Mbappe's season, having moved from French football to Spanish football? Look, from a personal point of view, he's probably going to win the Pichichi. He's 4 clear of level.
Yeah, I think he's been really good. It shows just how demanding I think we all are these days, especially with social media giving us all a chance to say what we think. But thinking days gone by, a debut season like this for a big club when you've changed country would have been seen as fantastic. 29 goals. He's going to win the La Liga top scorer prize. We flagged him up about 6 weeks ago, maybe, when I think he was still a goal behind Lewandowski when he was plus 170, and he's romped ahead now. So yeah, I think Steve flagging him up makes perfect sense. He's minus 200 to score. He's plus 220 to score at least two. Wouldn't surprise me at all if Mbappe scored at least two here. You'd imagine he'll be on penalties as well as dangerous in open play. So I'd focus my intention in this game if you're looking for something on Mbappe in some way, because we know what he's like. He doesn't just want to win, he wants to win as big as he possibly can.
Next two matches that we're going to focus on in Spain will decide who goes down from La Liga. Española plus 225 to be relegated. A win at home to Las Palmas guarantees them survival. A draw in Leganés know if they win at home to Valladolid, that will be enough due to Leganés' better head-to-head record with Espanyol. I mean, they are both at home and both against relegated teams as well. It's an interesting one. Look, they're both short to win their respective games. Espanyol minus 315, Leganés plus minus 360. James, your lean here is suggesting that both will do their part of the job.
I think they will. It's a very unusual situation, isn't it, where you've got the bottom four sides facing off against each other on the final day, and it works out that the two sides already down are facing the two sides fighting for their life. So I think from a betting point of view, that's quite useful, because you've got two sides battling relegation where the factors on their games are fairly even. You know, they're facing teams already down with nothing to play for. So that helps, I think. They're both at home as well. Espanyol and Leganés, they being the two sides who are still fighting to survive. So I like the look of this. Now, obviously, their short prices are the two teams trying to stay up because they're facing relegated sides with nothing to play for. But I was slightly surprised at the price for the win double. I think it's quite good. It's minus money, but if you back Espanyol and Leganés both to win their games, it's going to pay out at minus 148. It's not bad, that. I struggle to see reasons why they won't win their matches. They've obviously got everything to play for. And with the head-to-head record trumping other factors when it comes to separating the sides, they're both going into this final game looking to win their matches. So I think minus 148 for doubles, not bad. I'm not a huge fan of doubles during the regular season, but I do think the final few weekends, when you get these great big discrepancies in what's at stake, they can be quite useful. So it's just a lean for me, but I would be supporting the two sides fighting to avoid relegation to both win this weekend.
And just a lean for Steve, and it's sort of the other side of the same coin for you, Steve, with this one.
I'm going to back in a double the two sides away from him, Las Palmas and Valladolid, not to score a goal, plus 244. First thing I want to say about this relegation battle is there's some very lucky teams who have avoided the drop. Not had good seasons. The likes of Sevilla, Girona, Alaves, Getafe just got over the line. I mean, 40 points is probably going to send someone down here. The old used to be, get you 40 points and you're safe. Never happens in the Premier League now. You only need about 32 in the Premier League, don't you? But in La Liga, one of these teams probably will get 40 points and go down. So, but I just think Las Palmas, Valladolid, they've given up everything here. They've got nothing to play for. They're two very poor teams, and I don't think they're going to score. I mean, we might get a situation where Espanyol get a couple of goals clear of Leganés, and the Leganés match might even peter out into a 0-0 at that stage. So that's why I think the not to score double's worth a little bit of pizza money. Plus 244 on Las Palmas and Valladolid not to score.
Let's continue in Spain. Next three games feature three teams gunning for European qualification. Celta Vigo, Rayo Vallecano and Osasuna. Only two are going to be playing continental football out of those three. One will miss out. Here, all three are playing away. We'll tackle Getafe against Celta Vigo first up here. Celta Vigo are the side aiming to make European football. They've got it in their own hands, and they will qualify for the Europa League with a win. But they haven't been great away from home this season. They've lost 10 on their travels. Steve, you've got a moneyline lean. Which way?
Bit of a boring lean, this one, but just Celta Vigo moneyline. I believe that Getafe have just survived now. Prior to that, I think they lost 6 games in a row. And that this could be a struggle for them against a fully motivated Celta Vigo. The concern is the away form. But I did quite like what I saw with the last away win they had. They ground out a 1-0 at Real Sociedad that was not very Celta Vigo-like. Changed their style a bit second half. And I think if they really need to get the win here, they'll get it. So it's what is it, minus 118 on the money line? I believe that they can show their quality here, but that's why it's only a lean, not a pick, because of that away record, which is only the 14th best in La Liga.
Yeah, all these games, incidentally, these European games, 3 p.m., all the teams involved in looking to qualify for Europe, 3 p.m. Eastern. Rayo Mallorca next. I mean, we really liked Rayo earlier this season, Steve, but they've dropped off a little bit. But a win will get them at least a Conference League spot here. Might have a Europa League place. Depends what happens with Celta Vigo. You've dodged the money line here for your hot dog pick here, which is, I don't know how many times you've gone hot dog for this particular market. I don't know if it's a first or not. Steve?
This might be a first across all shows. But the hot dog is in the corner market, over 11.5 corners in this game for me, at plus 230. And the main reason is, I've been eyeing up Mallorca fixtures for this for a while. They concede a lot of corners. They rarely win the corner battle. I mean, there was a ridiculous one, the Real Madrid game. They lost the corner battle 26-0. That's not going to happen here. But look, Rayo Vallecano recently at home have been racking up the corners. 10-7, 7-3, 5-2, 8-4. In the most recent away game, it was an 8-8 tie on the corners. They're the sort of team, Rayo, who often make hard work of scoring goals. They're quite frantic, getting forward, trying to put in crosses, which are blocked very quickly. And it can take them quite a few shots and sort of attempts and attacking moments to score goals. And Mallorca have this knack of just hanging in games. The goalkeeper often does well. The defence just blocks a lot of stuff. And they can be an annoyance. And this could be the sort of game where it takes Rayo a while to break them down. So I think they'll dominate throughout. And naturally, they should rack up quite a few corners in the game. I looked at the Rayo individual corner count. But instead, I've gone with the match corners, over 11.5 match corners, plus 230. And, Mallorca should be able to, by default, just contribute 2 or 3 themselves. But I think this could be the sort of game where we might even get something like 15 or 16 corners, Dan. So you could, the Steve Wiss ladder might be out here. 12.5, 13.5. I do like this as a really big hit for corners, especially you could look at Rayo individual ones. Based on style, based on stats, there's not really much else to add. But I've been eyeing up taking on. Also, you can look at that corner handicap on Rayo, by the way, because they'll comfortably beat Mallorca in this department. A team that just concede way, way too many corners, but we can hopefully profit from that.
Alaves Osasuna is the last game of this trio, all 3 p.m. Eastern. Osasuna need a win and favours elsewhere. Draw might be enough if Rayo lose. James, again, you're looking at these 3 games as a sort of triumvirate, as a treble you can maybe.
Yeah, I think so. I think Steve's made some good points there about the other 2 sides fighting for a place in Europe. The leveler here is that all 3 of these teams, Celta Vigo, Rayo Vallecano and Osasuna, are facing sides with nothing obvious to play for, which should help the teams who are going for Europe. There are differences in form. If you look at the sides that the teams chasing European place are facing, Steve referenced Getafe there and the fact that their form's not great, as well as the fact that they're in mid-table. So I think it's worth looking at the 3 sides chasing European places in a treble to all win their matches. And if you put them in a treble, it pays out at plus 542. Now, that's not bad for me, for teams who have got something to play for against teams who on the face of it don't. Although, as we saw on the final weekend in France last weekend, and it's something we talked about during this sort of business end of the season, motivation is a factor, but it's not the only factor. Teams can do strange things when they've got nothing at stake and they can go out there and just enjoy themselves. So it's not an absolute shoo-in that the teams chasing European places will win this weekend. How many times do you put a treble down and 2 legs win and 1 lets you down? That could be the case, but just wanted to flag up the price, because if people are maybe looking at a way to make these teams chasing Europe pay, then the treble on the 3 of them would be something to look at. And I think plus 542 was a little bit bigger than I was expecting.
Yeah, and sorry, Rayo are at home and may well have intimated that they're away, but they are at home against Mallorca. Osasuna are away, and of the three teams looking to make European football here, they are the biggest price on the money line. Steve, worth betting Osasuna?
What am I missing here at plus 133?
Yeah, not sure.
On Osasuna. I just think that looks... I mean, why are they plus 133 in Celta Vigo and minus 118? Alaves and Getafe are in exactly the same sort of position, nothing to play for. Alaves, incredibly, I think the last 9 games have gone under 2.5 goals. The majority of them have gone under 1.5. They've been an annoying team, haven't they, Alaves? They've never got them right all season. The reverse fixture, I thought, was one of the best bets of the season. Osasuna, moneyline, I think it was. It was when Alaves were messing around with the manager situation around Christmas, just before Christmas, and they somehow drew 2-2. But in this instance, they've just survived. You know, this is going to be what's left in their tank. Osasuna fighting for the position. Plus 133, I think, looks really big. This is quite a strong lean for me. I nearly had this as an official pick. I think it's a really big price on a side that's got way more to play for.
Let's get to Sunday's slate, shall we? And the focus is on Serie A. All the games in Italy have got something riding on the outcome. 6 fixtures all told. 3 teams are going for a Champions League spot. Top 4 betting with Bet Rivers. Juve minus 286, Roma plus 250, Lazio are 16s. Any 2 of 5 will be relegated. Monza already down. And 2 of Venezia minus 1,400, Lecce minus 300, Empoli plus 200, Parma 14s, and Verona 25s will go down. There's a whole manner of different permutations. Go to the Serie A website. You will see a really good explainer if you want to have a look. And there are contingencies for 4 teams finishing on 34 points, for 3 teams finishing on 34 points, and for 3 finishing on 32. But whatever happens, it will only be a one-match playoff. There's not going to be any sort of mini round robin. That's the way I understand it as well. And it took me about 2 hours last night to work that out. We've also got a UEL and a Conference League spot to be decided as well. So there's a lot for grabs here. We're going to start at the top. But also a lot of these games, obviously, you know, in terms of top and bottom, there's a focus on them, including this one. Venezia plus 425, Juve minus 186. Now, a win for Juve guarantees them Champions League football. Only a win for Venezia would give them a chance of staying in the top flight, and the chances are that might not be enough anyway. We've got 1 unit play from James on this one. Juve away from home. Are they going to stumble or score the win they need?
I think they're going to get the win they need, Dan. So they're minus 186 to do that on the money line. My 1 unit play is Juventus, but it's minus 0.75 on the Asian handicap. So you get slightly better odds. They're minus 141 with that minus 0.75 Asian handicap start. This is one of the games with a lot at stake, both ends of the table. You've said it about Venezia. They need a win here. Very clear-cut situation for them. And Juventus the same. Juventus can finish 4th without winning. They can finish 4th by losing, but they can't see it that way because there's a traffic jam just behind them. Roma are just a point behind and Lazio are only 2 points behind. So must-win game for both of them. And I think that the fact that Venezia needs to win, I think that's actually a real bonus here for Juventus because I'd have slight reservations about them against a side maybe looking to draw. But the fact Venezia are going to have to come out at some stage here and have a go to win the game, I think that will play straight into Juventus's hands. I think they're going to get a little bit more room than they might otherwise have to get forward. And that, for me, should be enough for them to get the win. I think they'll be fairly confident. They won 2-0 last weekend. Potential risk there of dropping points against a side with nothing to play for in Udinese. I thought they handled it fairly well. And I think just having that extra cushion of the 2-goal win, which they managed to get late on, will help them as well. So I think they should get the job done. Another factor is Venezia's form at home against better sides this season. It's really poor. There's a couple of 0-0 draws in there, but there's no goals against any of the top 7 when they've played at home. So even if they do attack, which they will do because they need to win it, it doesn't mean they're going to get the goals they need. I can't really see it happening. So for me, I think Juventus should get this one. There's various other markets people might want to look at. I mean, if you look at Venezia's poor scoring record at home, then you might want to look at Juventus to win 1-0. You might want to look at them to win 2-0. They're both plus 575. So if you split your stakes, say you make a good profit. Both teams to score no is minus 121. So lots of really interesting angles into this game. But I think the bottom line for me is that Juventus should be good enough to get the win somehow, and that's why I'm siding with them. So it's Juventus for me. It's minus 0.75 on the Asian handicap at minus 141.
Yeah, Juve, interesting. I think they will be bet over the course of the weekend. Let's get to the Roma game. Roma are away at Torino, similar type of price as well to Juve, and the boys have both got official plays here. Torino are plus 450, Roma minus 186. Roma need to win and hope Juve lose to qualify for the Champions League. Torino, nothing to play for. Steve, you can go. No, let's go James here, because James, you've got your 2U play. I mean, they're not exactly the same bets. They're very, very similar, but we'll go 2U, James.
Yeah, my 2 units on Roma. Not on the Asian handicap. Not on the money line to win, because they're short price. So it's similar pick to my Juventus pick here. It's Roma minus 0.75 on the Asian handicap, which is minus 141 as well. Same price as Juventus. So you've got a similar situation here. Roma going for the win to see if they can get into Europe, except they're facing a side with nothing to play for. I mean, in theory, that might mean it's an easier game for Roma than Juventus have got against Venezia. Hats off to Roma. They've been absolutely sensational since Ranieri took over. They continue to keep pace at the top of the table, even if they do just miss out on a top 4 spot. I think they'll have done brilliantly to be in there right until the very end, and I think they'll do their part by getting the win this weekend. I see no slip-ups at all in recent weeks. They've continued to play well. They're fully focused. They're really together as a team, and they're producing good performances and scoring goals. So I'm really strongly with Roma here. I think I can't see a barrier to them winning. You know, you wonder a little bit, don't you, about the atmosphere in the stadium, because some Torino fans might not mind if Roma win here, if it were to deny Juventus a top 4 spot. I mean, there's obviously nothing at stake for Torino's players either. So it's going to be hard for the players out on the pitch to be fully motivated. Every which way I look at this, I think it's Roma's really afternoon here. They should get the win. And thought the price was pretty good. You know, like I say, the price on a Roma win here on the Asian handicap is the same as Juventus's, and Roma are facing opposition with nothing to play for. So very strongly on them. They're minus 186 on the money line. Our Roma, which will be too short for a lot of people. It was too short for me. So I'm going with them on the Asian handicap instead. Minus 0.75 start will pay out at minus 141.
You're pushing the Asian line out a little further, Steve, with your 1U.
Yeah, there's my working out. Agree with James.
Thanks,
do you know what? I think this is actually... James is going on the minus 0.75 Asian handicap. Now, this is one of his keys to his success this season. He gets a lot of really good winners in that capacity, half winners if he needs to. I am going to add 1 unit here on Roma minus 1 Asian handicap at minus 104. This was very nearly my 2 unit play. We nearly had 4 units on this on Roma, Dan. It's probably the best bet of the round. I mean, I'm not a backer of money line at sort of shorter prices, but minus 186 at the time of recording, I think that's a great money line price as well. Roma will win this match. Torino have absolutely nothing to play for, and as James alluded to, their big rivals Juventus. Why would they want Juventus to get an extra 50 million? Because that's what you get if you qualify for the Champions League. Near enough. So Roma will definitely come here and get the job done. Everything points towards them getting a fairly easy win. I looked at Roma win to 0 at plus 132 as well. But I thought the minus 1 Asian handicap, just play it safe here from our official 1 unit play. Pretty much everything that James said, I have to agree with. And they look like a cracking bet this round in Serie A.
Lazio against Lecce. Lazio minus 182. Lazio need to win and hope Roma drop points and Juve lose to make the top 4. For Lecce, there are 7 different permutations. A win to where they might finish. A win would definitely keep them up. Steve, you got a lean in this one?
This is the Lazio game, isn't it? I like over 2.5 goals in this game. Now, can Fiorentina catch Lazio? That's the question I'm interested in knowing, because...
I did work all this out. Hold on, caller.
There's 3 points between...
Yes.
Because...
yes.
They can.
Yes.
That's got to happen, hasn't it? Fiorentina have got... They always qualify for the Conference League. I mean, that in itself is worth giving them a medal, isn't it? To qualify for 4 years in a row, the Conference League.
Yeah.
I've got a funny feeling here, that there could be a shock on the cards. I don't I don't rate Lazio. I haven't really all season. I wouldn't be shocked if Lecce pushed them close. Either way, both teams may pretty much need the win, don't they? And it could lead to a situation where we get an open match. So for my lean, it's over 2.5 goals. This could end a bit wacky, actually. Like, honestly, I wouldn't surprise me if this went 2-2, 3-2, that sort of territory. If Lecce won, I'm not shocked. But I do think it will open up. I know overs is not really usually a good bet with Lecce games. I mean, they lack goals. But just the situation of the matter, everything's on the line. Jobs are at stake. Survival's at stake. Champions League's at stake. Loads of money on the line. Let's go over 2.5 goals at, I think, -117. Actually, it's -134 now. That's really, I'd still bet on it. But, I think this goal line will get bet on because it's quite obvious the situation where neither team's going to be content with a 0-0, are they?
Fiorentina got a better head-to-head to Lazio. We'll get to Laviola's game in a sec. James, you want to mention the teams gunning for Champions League?
Yeah, same thing I mentioned on Spain and a couple of other situations so far on the show. Basically, you've got these three teams gunning for a place in the Champions League by finishing fourth: Juventus, Roma, Lazio. We both mentioned we think Roma will win. I've mentioned I think Juventus will win. If you put the three of them, so add in Lazio in just on the money line to all win their matches, that'll pay out at +268. Again, not bad. I think those odds are pretty good. Obviously, two of those sides are facing teams with something to play for at the bottom of the table, and things can happen. And how often do you get tripped up by one leg of a treble? But just wanted to flag up the price for anybody looking at it. I think +268, as I say, is not bad.
Let's get to Steve's final 2U of the season, shall we? Atalanta against Parma is the game. All these games on Sunday in Serie A, 2:45 Eastern. Atalanta -143, Parma +380. Atalanta will finish third. Parma are safe if they win. We've had a bit of fun with unders and since Kivu has taken over at Parma, but Gasparini's side, I mean, Atalanta are overs generally. Which way are we going for the 2U pick, Steve?
You know the bet. It's Parma, so it's under. I mean, if you had said to me, my 2-unit play on the last round of the season would be an under, I'd be like, "What are you smoking?"
You've changed.
Yeah, I would, and I mean, I could have easily gone with Roma as a 2-unit play, but then I saw this goal line at 2.75, and I had to get involved here on the under because Parma are going to play one way, just like they did against Napoli last week. They held them 0-0 draw. I think it's 75-80% of the games since Kivu has took over have been under 2.5. I mean, the games that went over since Kivu came was Parma 2, Torino 2. The XG in that was really low. 2-2 against Inter, 2-2 against Lazio. There was just higher quality players on the field. And then that Empoli 2, Parma 1, that was a play of mine as well. I had no idea how that went over. There was hardly that many chances and shots. There was a red card as well. So if nothing unusual happens, these type of matches tend to go under. Now, Atalanta, of course, they're landlocked. They're in third place. They've got nothing to play for. And they're now going to be facing a highly motivated team who's going to set up defensively. That's going to be pretty annoying for Atalanta. And are they really going to want to work hard and break them down and get the win and have a festival of goals? Parma need a draw here. If they draw the game, they'll stay up, in my opinion. There are weird permutations. There could be playoffs and all that sort of thing. But a draw would get them, at very worst, a playoff, right? So I think that's what they're going to aim for. They're going to try and play for the 0-0 draw. And Atalanta have had quite a lot of 0-0s this season. You talk about they're a weird side, Dan. They do have quite a few overs, but they've had a few 0-0s as well. So I believe this could be no goal scorer game. I really do. And or a very low scoring at least. And the goal line at 2.75, so I'm only going to lose half if 4 goals are scored. If 3 goals are scored, sorry. I could not help myself with this 2-unit play. It's been a continual theme for me with Parma, and I can't let go on the final round when they desperately need this draw to survive.
I think some of the 0-0s, I was just having a quick glance there, have been against sort of like bottom third teams as well, which sort of fits the narrative here, given where Parma are. Empoli Verona next. Empoli are minus money favourites. Just a lot of permutations about whether or not they can retain top flight status. Defeat would definitely see them relegated as they are in the bottom 3. Verona could lose and still stay up, win or draw, will ensure that they play Serie A football next season. James Easton's hot dog here, plenty at stake.
Yeah,
James.
plenty at stake. Two teams facing potential relegation, and I think that means we're likely to see goals here. That's my view. So my hot dog play is on over 3 goals, which is available at plus 265. So if there are exactly 3 goals in the game, you're not actually going to lose anything. You'll get your stakes back. You make a profit if there are 4 goals or more. I'm very interested in the goal line this weekend on what is the final weekend in Serie A. I think it's quite low, generally speaking. A lot of the games I was expecting more. If you look at the goal line on this game, obviously over 3 goals plus 265 shows that, you know, that the market isn't really expecting goals here. I think over 2.5 goals is plus 130. So the market's suggesting it's going to be low scoring. Now, listen, not every league is the same. We talked a lot about the French Ligue 1 trend of high goals towards the end of the season. They bowed out on last weekend with 8 out of 9 games having over 2.5 goals. Who knows if it's going to be the same? We'll see. There's not necessarily the same strong trend here, but on this particular game, I'm very comfortable taking over goals because, as you said, Dan, Empoli go into the weekend in the relegation zone. Any team going into the game on the last day in the relegation zone see it as a must-win match, obviously. They've got to try and get out of trouble. I think they'll be attacking hard from the start here, and I think they'll set the tone of the game. So Verona, as you say, they can lose and still stay up. They might look at this and think, well, as long as we get the draw, we're fine. That's all fine, but that will go out the window if they go a goal down, right? So I'm partly hoping that Empoli get that early goal and change the sort of the dynamics of the match. But I think at some point something will happen when you've got a backs against the wall situation for at least one of the sides and sort of one and a half of the teams here. Then I generally am happier taking goals. I maybe wouldn't if the prices had been different, but because the market is heavily favouring unders, that's when I think the opportunity opens up at the other side and overs becomes the bet. So it's a hot dog pick for me. It's over 3 goals. It's plus 265. And for anybody who's wondering about the longer term stats rather than just the situational thing we have with them facing relegation, 46% of all games involving these two sides this season have had 3 or more goals. Now, that's not bad. That's sort of telling you your chances over the season of at least getting your stakes back here. So for me, it underpins that I think the overs is underrated here. And that for me would be the way to play on this match.
Yeah, just incidentally, the spread firms in the UK for the 10 games in Serie A this weekend, the spread is 29-30, which is high. So they're expecting 3 goals per game across all the 10 on average. Very quickly on this one from you, Steve.
I don't have a lean now. I've changed it. It was going to be Empoli money line, but I've had a good long think about myself there.
That's all
right. Bad things happen. Bad things happen when you bet on bad teams.
Yes.
They're a bad team.
Okay.
They've had 2 home wins all season. No.
We touched on Laviola Fiorentina's game away at Udinese before. They can overhaul Lazio for 6. And Steve, as you mentioned, it's like, well, they've got to be in the conference because without them, the conference doesn't exist. Lean on this one.
This reminds me of the Celta Vigo game a little bit. This looks like a pretty boring bet, but just Fiorentina on the money line. And this is quite a strong lean from me. I mean, Udinese have been stinking the place out for a while. They don't usually finish the season very well, do they, Dan? Was it 7 defeats out of 9 now? This should be an away win, really. Fiorentina are the better side anyway. There's not really a lot else to say. A motivational mismatch in the last game of the season. So, you can get nearly even money on Fiorentina here to win. What am I missing?
Yeah.
They should really be, minus 150?
Yeah. I'd have thought so. I've got exactly the same lean. Fiorentina to win. I think they're way too big at nearly even money, minus 107. I suppose the only thing to say about this game, and it might explain the price a little bit, is this is a match where you may see a change in motivation from Fiorentina during the game. It's obviously only a slim chance they've got before kickoff of booting Lazio out of 6th place and moving up there. If they hear Lazio are drawing or winning, at various stages in the game, then their motivation may slip and they think, do you know what, this is all over. So it is, just a warning there. It's a game where you could see in-running change of motivation from Fiorentina. But as we're talking now, I think I totally agree with Steve. I think the price on Fiorentina is too big, and I moved away from making an official play because I was slightly concerned about how that might change during the match. But I think at the moment they're a really good lean.
I think we should make it next season if we've got double lean. It's a half-point official play. Nigel would never agree to that. We have got 3 Spanish games just to wrap up with. Just leans from the boys here, all on Sunday. 8 a.m. first of all, Girona Atleti. Atleti are minus money favourites here. I mean, Steve, Girona were always going to struggle. I've just noticed you said no lean on this one. I'll come to... have you got any thoughts on this one at all? I mean, Atleti, boys... They spent heavily, should have done better, really. It's been a poor season for them, hasn't it?
I was just going to say that, Dan, you know, we go back a few months, don't we? And we were all excited about a 3-team title race in Spain, and it looked that way for a while.
I backed them.
Yeah, and, you know, you looked at them on paper and you thought it's maybe a transitional season for Barcelona and one where Real Madrid are struggling with their tactics. Will it open up for them? So slightly disappointed they have fallen away. I mean, listen, they've held on to third, which on paper they should have been in the top 3, and they've done that up until now. So... in that sense, you can argue it's sort of the level par, but we were kind of hoping and expecting they might run a little bit deeper into the title race.
Yeah, it's a last game potentially for Angel Correa for Atleti. I didn't see an anytime goal scorer odds on BetRivers, but they might put him up. He was a scoring sub against Betis last week. Christian Stuani, who's about 85 years old, he's going to play for another season at Girona, so that'll be nice. He's got one more season, so next season, watch out for him for anytime goal scorer. Villarreal Sevilla, Steve, you have got a lean on this one for us. You referenced Sevilla earlier, saying they've had a shocking season. They have. Villarreal, of course, have qualified for the Champions League.
I think Sevilla are absolutely rancid. I think they're awful. Last week proved it. They've got problems on and off the field. The players aren't disciplined. They were down 9 men by half-time last week. They got the win they needed to survive against Las Palmas, but they've shown absolutely nothing apart from that result. And even then, they needed their favourite referee to get them over the line. They just want this season to end, and I think Villarreal could give them a right good stuff in here. I really do. Villarreal, landlocked in 5th place. They've got nothing to play for in terms of, you know, position and that, but they were in great form to finish the season. 5 wins in a row. I think they'll put on a great show for their fans, and I think we could be looking at a big win. So Villarreal -1 Asian handicap at -143 to beat this horrible Sevilla side who just want the season to end. And you could even look at laddering this. You know, I even looked at the 3-way handicap, plus 290 on the what is effectively a -2.5 Asian handicap on Villarreal, because I think they could win this 4 or 5-0. Sevilla, can't tell you how bad they are. They're awful.
Shortest price at Villarreal have been against Sevilla for at least 25 years. My records didn't go back further than that. Athletic Club against Barcelona to wrap up the season, to wrap up the show. Athletic Club plus 215. Barca are plus money here. The Bilbao side will finish 4th, have qualified for the Champions League. And I think, Steve, as well, you know, considering they really wanted to get through to the Europa League final, you know, they've bounced back well. They've won the last 3-0. They could have easily sort of, you know, the shoulders could have dropped, their heads could have gone down, but fair play to them here. Barcelona not in the Club World Cup, which is an interesting one, certainly for the sponsors and the TV companies. Don't know how that's happened. So it's their last game as well. Final thoughts?
Well, I think Athletic Bilbao might put up a decent fight here. They're quite a prideful team. You know, especially at home here, last game of the season, they've enjoyed a strong campaign. I thought they were quite big on the money line, you know, considering the situation. Plus 215. We know when teams have secured the title, they can sometimes fall asleep a little bit. Look at Liverpool recently. I mean, even last week, Barcelona lost to Villarreal. They didn't play badly, but there is just that lack of intensity. You know, the Lewandowski situation, he still needs one more goal to get 100 for Barcelona. So, you know, plus 148 anytime for him. And, you know, we do suspect that shirt is going to come off when that happens. So Lewandowski to score and be carded could be a bet as well. But I think Athletic Bilbao might win the game, you know. Just a very small lean on the money line here, based on them, because I think they'll be up for it, fired up at home. Very prideful Basque team.
Barcelona, I think, have surprised everyone, James, because when Hansi Flick came in, no one really thought, you know, that they were going to win the title. They've ended up winning everything domestically, Super Cup, Copa del Rey, and La Liga. They fell short in the Champions League. Some have argued with good reason. They were the better team against Inter, but they didn't make it through. Hansi Flick has renewed his contract, I think, just in the last 24 hours or so, through to 2027. I mean, people are going to be looking at them for next season, aren't they, really? I mean, they have had a great season. I don't think they've really sort of featured for us that much, have they, over the course
No,
of
not really, because I think we were trying to get a read on them early on in the season. Is this team maybe a bit better than we thought? There have been players like Rafinha who have done better than I think anybody really thought. We knew he was a good player. We maybe didn't know just how good he could be. So, listen, I think it's a measure of just how talented they are and how well they've played that they've got this domestic treble, and they're probably a bit disappointed with how the season's gone because they know how close they came to making it through to the Champions League final. They'd have felt they had a good chance of winning it, whoever they were playing. So you've got to say hats off to them and the manager. They've done brilliantly to win this league with a couple of games to go against a Real Madrid side stuffed with star names. And I think, honestly, I've got no bet on this game, but I think they're one of the teams across Europe that I personally am most looking forward to seeing next season because they've been great and you feel there's more to come here. There's young players in that side. They're going to take a look at where they need to add if they feel they need to add, and they're just going to go from strength to strength. So they've been a great watch, and I think very much going to be a great watch again next season as well.
Yeah, speaking of more to come, Steve, just to wrap things up, give you the final word here. We've got Betcast. You're involved in the Premier League Betcast, aren't you, at the weekend? And also we've got the Champions League Betcast to come as well. Club World Cup to look forward to. I'm starting to really look forward to that competition. I don't know why. I just think there's just going to be mistakes from bookmakers, Steve.
Yeah, there's loads to come. We had a Betcast with me, James, and Nigel on the Europa League final. Went really well. Final day Premier League, me, Nigel, and Jack are on, and then for the Champions League final, we really are bringing out the big boys. Me, Jack, and you. You are going to be hosting that one, and there's a lot of people.
Yeah, Nigel phoned me up. He couldn't get anyone else.
We had people on the Betcast last night.
Show.
Exactly, Dan. We had lots of comments last night on our Betcast asking where you were. So there'll be a big audience.
Yeah, thanks, Mom.
They want the jokes as well. They want a couple of new jokes for that Betcast Champions League final.
Oh, I've got a few up my sleeve.
The World Cup, by the way, I think that's going to be much bigger than people think. I think from a betting event, it's going to be huge. There's a lot of money at stake for the teams. There could be some mistakes. We're going to get an edge, and we're going to be covering it on Betting Weekly Live throughout the summer. So watch this space.
Indeed. Yeah, look, should be really good. Steve, James, thanks for your company. Good luck to one and all. We'll keep everyone updated via our X feeds. Many thanks to everyone that's contributed to the show over the course of the season. The Betting Weekly community is stronger. Thanks to all of the viewers and listeners. Some brilliant picks and comments from you guys throughout the season. That is a wrap for Betting Weekly Extra Time European show for the campaign. The show will be back in August. Lots to come over the summer. All of the live shows, of course, 11 a.m. Eastern for Betting Weekly Live every midweekday. Club World Cup, internationals, all coming up. Going to feature heavily. Follow us at Because We Win and subscribe to the YouTube channel from all of us. For now, though, it is goodbye.